Hey kids, it's Old Man shouting at clouds, and now with others too. Chatting about the CFL is what they're going to do. Some have no contacts and others have no clues. Everyone will tell us all their quirky football views. Hear what Old Man and others know. It's the CFL Outsiders show.
Hey, GT. What are we going to do this week?
Same thing we do every week, old man. Take over the CFL.
Hey, kids. Welcome back to another episode of the CFL Outsiders. I remain, as always, your 100% impartial, completely unbiased, and at different odds host, Old Man shouting at clouds. Joining me, as usual, this week, we have our panel of experts, MJ.
Hey, everyone. I just want you to know, based on 2 quarters of one preseason game, I am now accepting apologies for everyone who told me that Trey Ford was washed up. Not good, because words I heard were dazzle and cinematic.
Yes, indeed. And don't adjust your sets. You're not seeing double. It's MJ2 as well this week.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here. I'm so excited. Thursday is the first game of the season, and I'm so glad that the Ticats are playing on Thursday and not on Saturday.
Yes.
And joining us again from somewhere in Europe, an undisclosed location, perhaps not. It's the man who's taken time from his vacation to be here because he's so dedicated, GT.
Hey, everyone. Good morning again. It's still 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm still drinking beer. And this week, I'm coming to you live from Prague. Been having a great time. A couple things that, because last week, I just want to let everyone know I was kind of jet lagged in last week's episode. So sorry for no energy. And then the internet doing its thing too. And it kind of made it all messed up. But I apologize for last week's version. I hope this week's will be better. A couple of things I'd like to clear up right off the top from last week that I didn't get to mention because the internet didn't allow me to was that, first of all, shout out to some new friends that I made in Budapest last week, Frank and Amy Stelke from Boston, who immediately became subscribers to the show. So I hope that you did you've had a chance, Frank and Amy, to watch some of last week's, and you will stick around for a little bit while at least and become a regular. Appreciate all our chats on Doug Flutie and general stuff. So that was real fun. And the other thing that happened in Budapest that was terrific was that I was able to hook up and spend a few minutes, or actually couple of hours, with Oz Davis from the Rouge, White, and Blue.
Wow!
So we had the two CFL podcasters hanging out and having beers together in Budapest, which was kind of fun. And a fun fact that not a lot of people, including myself, might know is that, like this group here, we've never actually met each other. We've been podcasting together for now, this is our second season, and we've never physically been in the same space. Well, Oz and Joe Pritchard, who run the Rouge, White, and Blue, have never met each other either, and they've been doing it for over 10 years. Yeah. So it is possible. And it was fun. I did not know that when I met with Oz, but that was great. So shout out to him as well. And other than that, the only thing that I can tell you from this side of the pond is, unfortunately, last week in Vienna, the Vienna Vikings were not in town, so I didn't get to go to their game. They were on the road. But there was lots of posters everywhere for the Vienna Vikings, which seemed to be more postering around town for them than I've seen in most CFL cities. That's the update, kids.
We like to hear what's going on, especially, well, first of all, hello and welcome to the latest to members of Outsider Nation, and I hope we can entertain you. And I did not know that about Oz and Pritchard. They seem like they work so well together. I did want to mention to folks, it is a brand new season, which is why we're excited. My disappointed part is, of course, well, the show's team lost its final preseason game, so I have to be a little disappointed. But really excited about what's coming up and how we're going to have a fest. I mention that mostly to see MJ's reaction. Anyway, I want to remind you, we're past the preseason. We'll be talking about the upcoming games of the regular season. This is the new season. If you've just discovered us, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. You don't want to miss a moment of any of this. If you've got comments, leave them, please. We love to see them, and the ones that tickle our fancy, we may read out on air. We've done a little bit of that. We've got a new email address if you're still on something that ancient. So we're now just the CFL Outsiders at gmail.com. And I wanted to encourage everybody to drop us a like, because that really moves the enthusiasm, moves a logarithm along to help us. And it's so easy. So, if one or two of you drops a like, well, that helps the show. But what if 5% of you drop a like? That's going to get the logarithm's attention. That's going to move us along. Or what about 10? Can you imagine 10? If 10% of you just stop right now and drop the like, that would really, really help us out. What about 20? What about 100%? Can you imagine if 100% of you stop right now and drop the like, what that would do to the logarithm? It would blow its little mind. It would think we got a movement going here. And we do, folks. The CFL Outsiders Anti-Massacre Movement. With apologies to Arlo Guthrie, of course. But
That's
drop
it.
us that
I was
like.
gonna say.
It'll help us out.
Yeah, there's a couple of lines for the song I could use, but I won't. I just want to jump up and down and said to the doc. I just jumped up.
Yeah. If you
You're a
haven't heard
man.
Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie and you've got a half an hour to kill, go look it up. It's amazing.
I wasn't sure whether you were doing Alice's Restaurant or the Shopping Channel there for a little bit, old man. It was one or the
Well,
other. I wasn't sure which.
My impersonations aren't the best. Anyway, first thing that I thought I'd talk about, I don't know if you've seen this, GT, being over in Europe, but they dropped they've given out the Riders Grey Cup rings from last year. And I've seen some criticisms. Most people seem to be thinking it's pretty good. Apparently, go hard is now a good thing, and I've seen a lot of that on it. So just to let you know, real quick, they put together a committee. Trevor Harris, Demir Thurman, Jorgen, who's a long snapper who's retired now, Corey Mason, Jeremy O'Day designed this sucker. It's got the logo, or the Riders logo, over top of a Grey Cup. It's got, I believe it is 14 of one type of stone to recognize every victory of the season. It's got another type, and I don't know what these differences are, but 4 of them at the bottom for the 4 previous Grey Cups and 1 in the Grey Cup itself to represent this victory. It's like the Argo's done before. It's a clasp, so you can open it up. The inside is in Mosaic Stadium, and on the upper part of the inside is a authentic piece of the Grey Cup game ball leather, which apparently they had a tradition I didn't hear about before. They were putting a burn on one of the beams above the entrance to the locker room last year for every win. So they've replicated that now on the leather. That's what they've given out. Who's seen it, and what are your thoughts?
I just looked it up. This is really fun. I really like that it's interactive, and I know that's not the first one, but I do like the idea that it does include some of that game ball leather. That's special. That's a great memory for someone to keep. Yeah.
It is gaudy and therefore perfect.
Yes. Everything a championship ring should be, right in your
Everything it
face.
should
Look at
be.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
All I know is it's dazzling. I was going to go back and search their reports for the last 4 Grey Cup rings and see if they use some sort of wording like that for those, but I know it was dazzling. And as for the piece of field or whatever it is that you mentioned there, that's the first I've heard of that one, because I did not read the articles. But that just reminds me of the old Black Oak, Arkansas record, where you got a square inch of Arkansas when you bought the album. They gave you a titled land deed for 1 square inch of Arkansas when you bought the record.
I have to admit, that may be the part I like about it the best. The fact that it's the leather from the ball and there's a little chunk of it in there for you. I like that. But anyway, unless there's anything else on that, we'll jump along to some of the other big news that's been going on. And that is the broadcast deal has been announced. And I think that we might have talked about this a little bit last week. I can't remember if it came out or not. If we didn't, anyway, it's a big change. The CFL on TSN will be carrying the bulk of the games, but not the Saturday games. Saturday games are going to what I'm told is pronounced DAZZLING, DAZN. I don't get it anyway. It's a streaming channel. They'll be handling all of the Saturday games and 2 playoff games.
Not
And then
all
they've-
the Saturday games.
Well,
Just
no, sorry,
one
one game a
Saturday
Saturday. Yeah, sorry, I should thank you for that, MJ. They'll be handling one evening Eastern game a week. They won't be doing anything out of the West, so it sounds like it'll be basically Toronto, Hamilton, maybe the other 2 cities with it. That's a streaming platform that people will now have to subscribe to. YouTube has also been named as a special promotional partner, I believe, so we'll have to see what that means. There's no word on that at all. I have a bit of a mini rant on this, but before I do that, I'll let you folks jump in. Have you heard any about this while you're over there, GT?
Yeah, I was able to read through it a few times and try to keep gist of what it was. It's we all knew it was coming to a streaming service. We all wanted a streaming service. None of us thought about the cost of a streaming service, I think, until it's now slapped us in the face, although there's no cost associated with it as of right now. They haven't figured out what it's going to be. The one thing I did read was that DAZN is also, of course, their international partner, so there will be no more CFL Plus. As such, so if I'm sitting here next year, I will be watching games on DAZN rather than on CFL Plus, which may be much better for the international market, because DAZN did say they are going to do their own broadcast team. So it'll be interesting, even for outside of the games that they have on Saturday nights, what they're going to do for the rest of the games internationally, whether they're going to do their own broadcast or whether they will just, again, use the TSN broadcast or not. But that'll be a nice change. It'll be a great change to have another broadcast team of some sort to give competition to TSN's broadcast team, to maybe have to up their quality. So that'll be good. And DAZN is, of course, a streaming service that you do have to pay for, but they have not yet said whether they will have an actual CFL only subscription model or whether you will have to buy the entire channel, which I think is about $25 a month Canadian, if I'm get my numbers right. Mm-hmm. However, they did say as well that DAZN will be carrying all the games internationally, and they will be doing that for free, like it is sort of for CFL Plus. So I'm not sure if I've already, in my miserly mind, wondered whether we'll be able to use a VPN in Canada and be able to pick up the games for free off of a VPN and then not have to worry about getting the subscription rate, and how long, if that does work, how long it'll take them to shut us down. But nonetheless, that's going to be my first option. But we shall see. But anything, I think it's interesting. I think it's good. That again, DAZN, it does have a lot of other broadcasts, international things that they do. They seem to be pretty high profile. They get a lot of press, and they seem to do things right. So I'm okay with this. I'm not a big fan of having to pay for another package, but I don't know that anywhere else you don't have to pay for another package either. So it's kind of today's world.
Well, this is similar to what the NHL has done with the Monday Night Prime games, or like baseball with Apple TV. And so I feel like it makes sense that this is sort of the way things are going. I feel like they're testing out to see how this works, how people respond. Because in our house, we get cable because we watch a lot of sports, and sometimes streaming isn't the best. But I was also just in Europe, and everywhere, DAZN, that's the games that they were playing. That's what they watch. And so I got really excited. I mean, minus the pay for the part I don't like, but the new commentators and what that means and what that's going to look like. And I think you're right, that competition of what are we trying to build? How are you going to differentiate your broadcast from this one? And getting to know some new personalities is always kind of interesting. But I wonder, yeah, like you said, GT, if they're going to continue to have those commentators for all the games, or use the TSN broadcast and just broadcast.
They're going to have an entirely different crew, so there won't be any, like, they might use the TSN cameras, but they're not going to use the crew, like the commentators or the panel.
I was like,
They said that for the Saturday night games.
Yeah.
MJ, but I don't know about the rest of the games that they don't have the broadcast rights to, but they are going to broadcast internationally. That's where I'm going to,
Oh, yeah. They'll just use
that
the TSN one then, I
I would
assume.
think so. I would think so. I actually, speaking of which, I thought it was kind of funny that they did the big announcement, and then within the next couple of days, there was a preseason game on CFL Plus, and the one that I watched, and there was coming next year and DAZZLING as the next big thing, and it was all TSN moments.
Yeah.
TSN highlight packages. I kind of thought, I guess you had to use them, but nonetheless, I thought it was a little amusing.
I sincerely hope that it is better than Blue Jays on Apple TV, which is objectively awful. It is so awful and like just infuriating. So I hope that they get some good people in. And I was like, I wonder what CBC people they might pull over. I was like, maybe Darren Flutie might come back or Gregory Freres.
Yeah.
I'm like, you never know. It'll be interesting to explain to our dad that his BC Lion games are not on Saturday nights on TSN.
Sorry, Dad.
Sorry, Dad, we're gonna get texts about it. We might have to split the zone 3 ways and 2 houses get to watching 1 game per week.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Will you be able to split, like, at least into different rooms? So will you, if you want to watch the zone in 2 different or 3 different devices at the same time on an account and so on. So all those streaming kind of questions that you have with any streaming device have not been answered. And it's at least a year away. It is a year away. So I guess we will learn more as they go, but there are lots of questions for sure.
Most major leagues in the North America do this. Like NFL, you need like 7 different subscriptions to watch NFL football. And like we are lucky in Canada with the Blue Jays that like 98% of the games are on Sportsnet, because if you are a fan in the US, good luck finding your game. Good luck. They're everywhere. They're blacked out. It's a mess. I think NBA does something. Yeah. Prime Monday nights, NHL. I mean, I think some people were hoping that it wouldn't be DAZN because things like Apple and Prime, a lot of people already have. Most people have a Prime account. Most people have a Netflix account. So DAZN is a little bit of a tough pill to swallow when, if you don't pay for the yearly package, it is $35.
I really like the fact that it is DAZN because they are sports oriented. Watching like that baseball on Apple TV was brutal. If you were a fan of the game and not just a fan, it was really hard. Same thing, we watch a lot of hockey in our house, and to do the Prime, it was really hard getting used to different commentators and how they do things. And like they threw a lot of money at it, but I don't think it had, I mean, I guess they get better at it the more they do it, but that's what I'm hopeful, is that at least DAZN specializes, focuses, only does sports. And so that to me means like maybe we'll get some really good production quality because this is something that they already do.
Well, I think I personally agree with just about everything you say. I've got one issue, not even so much with the broadcast deal itself. I think that, like you said, it's got a chance to increase the international viewership of the CFL. I think that it's something that we were going to get no matter what, and maybe going with a sports service is a good thing. Now, I will say that they have apparently 20 million subscribers worldwide. It's hard to get an answer on that for Canada. It looks like in Canada, they're probably somewhere between about 400,000 and 1 million. And reading between the lines, it looks like it's on the closer to the lower end at this point. Maybe that'll up a bunch with the CFL. But my problem with this is not the deal, but there are people out there that are defending this to the death of what a wonderful thing it is, and they keep saying the same thing. So it's an extra $25 a month. Well, we don't know if it's going to be an extra $25 a month. It's going to be whatever it's going to be, and I can't see the price going down. And they're going, but what's that? Anybody can afford that. If you're a real fan, you're going to just pay that. And then they turn around and say, and the great thing about it is this is the platform that attracts all the younger people, the young men and younger families. Well, if you're a young family, $25 more a month that you're not budgeted for can be significant. And I get annoyed at people who just assume that that everybody can just afford a little bit more of this. So are you chasing away fans you have that are young fans who now can't see their team 3-4 times a year, and does not chase them away, but does that reduce the engagement on it?
This is like when CFL moved from CBC to TSN.
Huge.
So, but a little bit same different. But they started with someone pointed this out to me. I don't even know if it's true or not. But that they went from 15 games originally over to TSN, and then the rest were on CBC. And they're like, well, your family just would have paid for cable to watch all those games. And I was like, I don't think our parents paid for cable to watch 15 games of CFL football. We just didn't watch them. And then actually for about 10 years, I didn't even have cable because I couldn't afford it. And I went to I was living in Calgary. I went to one CFL game a year when the Ticats came to town, and that's the only thing I could afford to go to. So we're already paying for 100 streaming services. I pay for TSN, I pay for Sportsnet, I pay for Prime, I pay for Netflix. So adding $25 to $35 a month extra is a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal, and for 4 games a month, that is a big chunk of change. And I didn't really appreciate the 3 Down guys calling me out like that, because I'm like, I have been very poor where I couldn't even watch football because it wasn't on a free broadcast. And how many people did they lose moving it from CBC to TSN? I mean, do they ever have numbers on that? I don't know. I don't remember. But I mean, it is good competition for TSN because, let's be honest, it's getting a little slack over there. So they do need some competition.
Well, and
Yeah.
I guess I don't know much about broadcasting at all, or numbers, money, but I was curious why they didn't go back to CBC. Maybe CBC doesn't have the money that they were looking for, because that's how I watch all of the Northern Super League soccer games. Like the Canadian Basketball League is on CBC as well.
PWHL is on.
Yeah. And so it looks like CBC is kind of cornering the market on a lot of those sports that families watch. And so that got me thinking, well, it was I guess always follow the money. So did they even maybe consider? And I guess, well, I'll never know, and not that that matters, but I'm just really curious why they went with DAZZLING streaming paywall versus a deal with CBC. And it probably does come down to money.
Because they want 20-year-olds who are betting. They don't care that your 5-year-old's watching the game. They want 20-year-old men who are betting.
Yes.
That's where the money is. That's where money is now.
You're right.
That's where it is. That's where all sports is going. They don't care if you're at the stadium. They don't care if you're necessarily even watching it. They just want you betting on it. And I think part of it, my conspiracy is that they hope that they'll accidentally think it's an NFL game and just start watching it.
I said that about the field change.
When it goes on to DAZZLING and they're pulling all the NFL games, I'm like, they're just hoping some guys hanging out are just accidentally going to start watching it. And that's their new demographic.
Exactly. And it might have been the money, some of it, but I do think it's more of that. The fact that they're trying to, and to their credit, you do need to lower the age of your fan base if you want to stay healthy and financial and all. And they're looking at the fact that apparently, I don't know, but I'm told that an awful lot of people in that young generation just don't bother with cable. They do everything through streaming now anyway. So there's that. But if you're paying for cable, you are paying probably at least $100 a month for a minimum package that would have TSN. And if you're not, then if you want to watch CFL, yeah, this isn't under $25, but you're also already paying $30 for TSN streaming. So now you're at $55 a month, for half the year. That's not a small chunk of change.
Will I get a discount on my TSN subscription because I'm going to be down 4 games a month?
Not a chance.
Good luck. Good luck.
I just thought you were going to ask if you got a press discount because you're in a podcast.
Well, we could always try for that, too.
Could I write off my TSN subscription?
I think so. It's important to be able to do this. Yes. Anyway, I will say the 2 upsides to the deal that I do see are the fact that they're taking over the preseason games, which means we should see better production, better value on that, because they're not going to go in with just a cut down stadium crew, because that's their product going ahead.
That the preseason games are going to be on YouTube.
Okay, are they? Because the initial announcement I heard was DAZZLING, whatever.
No, that preseason's going to be on YouTube.
Okay, well, we'll see how they do with that. The other good thing with this deal is they were talking about the fact that there's also going to be coverage of the combine out of it.
Yes,
Now,
and
whether
that'll be
that'll
Yes,
be
on
YouTube
YouTube.
or DAZZLIng,
YouTube.
I don't know, but
So
that,
it'll be on YouTube, so that's free for everyone, right? Like,
yeah,
that'll be nice.
yes. And my last thought on it was I think possibly this explains the expanded playoff format because they needed 2 playoff games to give to
The
DAZZLing,
zone.
and they didn't have enough.
And that fits into the no ties, because if we're thinking
Yeah.
about gambling, can't have a tie.
Yeah. Yes. I will point out that I think it was JC Abbott on 3 Down about 2 or 3 weeks ago who said, there is no guarantee we'll never have another tie in the CFL because the rule doesn't say anything about what happens if you're in a game that's tied and has gone far enough to be considered a result, and then you get a rain delay of 8 hours. You get a tie. Or do they change the rule for that? Trust somebody to find the most obscure thing that it could be. But anyway, what did y'all think of the fact that Ryan Dinwiddie came out before even watching Drew Brown in a game and named Jake Mara his starting quarterback?
Drew was so mad in that game. He was like throwing like his life depended on it. He's like, I'll show you what's up, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I don't even know what Ryan. He's a magician though, so who knows? It's probably going to be amazing.
He's the quarterback
I'm not-
whisperer, yes.
I'm not surprised at all. From the day he was hired in his first press conference, he said, I'm not comfortable with Drew Brown. He flat out said, it's going to be an open competition. He didn't even have Jake Mara in those days. He didn't even have another quarterback, and he was already downplaying Drew Brown before last season was basically over. So did he get a fair shake at training camp? Who knows? Was it already preset that Mayer was going to be the guy? Who knows? But it certainly reminds me a little bit of the Edmonton scenario from the past few years, where it was like, yeah, no, we're talking through our arse, but it's really going to be someone else. It's not going to be Trey Ford, and it's not going to be Brown. It's interesting that both of those guys signed almost identical deals 3 years ago, and when they moved to new teams, based on their on the same agent, and now they've both been relegated to backup status on different teams, or at least Trey Ford has. So, but at least Drew Brown's still making the starter money, so that's not so bad for him. Good for him. At least he's got that this year in his bank. But I would be pissed, and I don't blame him if it looked like he was, even though he was doing his best in the interview that I saw not to look like he was. He still looked like he was, and he deserves to be pissed if he didn't even get a fair shot. Hey, it's all Jake Mara fool you. That's all I can say.
As
Yeah.
a Stamps fan, you know very well. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a bold move. Give Coach Dinwiddie his credit. He believes in what he does and moves ahead with bold move. I did find it interesting that after doing that in the game, the next preseason game where they got to play, they gave Mayer over a quarter to play, and he was 6 for 9 and 35 yards and did not look near as good as he did the week before. And then Drew Brown came out and they gave him 2 drives where he went 7 for 8 and 2 touchdowns. And all of a sudden, real quick, he was off there. Do not want a quarterback controversy going at this point. But yeah, after his first touchdown, this didn't happen. Well, part of it happened. After his first touchdown, he came running over and he talked to Jake Mara, of course, as the way the quarterbacks always talk usually after a series or stuff like that. But in my mind, he ran over and he said, that's how you do a starting performance.
Oh, is it not working? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry.
We're just way more aggressive than you are, MJ. Too.
You just gotta just
so yeah, you
jump
got
right in there.
fight for your right. As,
Yeah, this is-
as the BT said, fight for your right to party. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, this is bare knuckle broadcasting.
But I can't help but think after coming out of a training camp, you've got all of your offensive team thinking, okay, so we're going with Jake Mara, but what if you want to stick with Drew Brown? And so, I don't know, that's like as a player, I think that would be good that you had a clear direction from your coach and you knew, but also when you're seeing this like backup get the results, that might be tricky. Yeah, controversy.
Yeah, it's possible. I had in my notes from later in the game that the starting unit that were out there at the start of both preseason games didn't seem to have quite the jump in their step that they did the first week. And is that maybe because they're brown people? And I don't think we're going to see the full-on sulk that we saw in BC a few years ago when Nathan came back and replaced VA. But if you don't really believe in the quarterback you've got out there, do you perform as well? So is there going to be any kind of a
about that.
quarterback? Yeah, is there going to be, yeah, exactly. Is there going to
This
be any
is what
kind of
I'll-
locker room repercussions?
No one's
knows?
learned any lessons. No lessons have been learned.
That's
Well,
exactly
we
it.
learn
Like,
them.
we've lived this before.
They learn them. They just forget them.
It's different this time. It's,
Goldfish.
This time it'll be different. This time it's
Yeah.
me doing it.
yeah. Good luck, Jake. Hope you do well.
Yeah. Yeah. Except against the Argos.
Yeah, that's right. We don't. No, wait.
Yeah, we're Argo fans.
Forgot about that.
Hard to forget.
Alrighty. I'm
No.
moving on. They did the cuts, and most of them were, again, people that we've never heard of. Rather than run through a sort of a team-by-team thing, I've got a list of about, maybe a dozen people here that I'll just rattle off the names, and then we can talk about it from there, about whether you thought it would happen or whatever. So this is in no particular order of teams because of how I put them together. Lineman Vandal from Toronto, who's been a starter, was released. Tackle Kendall Randolph from Winnipeg was released. Defensive lineman Kenny Onyeka from Hamilton. Defensive lineman Dylan Wynn. Chico Bennett Jr. from Saskatchewan. I added him in there. That's not a name that you're probably going to be familiar with. He came into the Riders camp, or he came in with the Riders late last year and got into a couple of games, and everybody was saying at the start of the season, at the start of camp, he was the front runner to get a starting position at that extra D end. So to see him gone is a little bit strange. Casey, the linebacker from Toronto, also surprised a lot of people. Deontay Ruffin from BC. Tyson Blackburn, they're both DBs. Tyson Blackburn out of Toronto. DeAndre Lamont, another DB out of Winnipeg. The kicker out of Saskatchewan, Kim, and I'm told that came down more to nationality than anything. And this one, who is probably not going to be a name most people recognize, but it was the MJ curse on him, so I had to say that Bly from Ottawa also got cut.
Yeah, I know.
Any thoughts on any of those? Are they people that are past their prime? Are there ones? Oh, I didn't have Herjay Malala from BC in there, and he was.
The Ticats cut Newton. He had 3 touchdowns in that preseason game, and they
Yes.
cut him the next day.
Well,
And
you
I'm
know,
actually surprised Dylan Wynn got cut, but
there's what happened to Super Mario Alford. So I'm thinking the way to get cut in Ticat camp is score a bunch of touchdowns.
yeah, do well. We don't like that.
Quit showing off.
We might win a Grey Cup. That can't be happening.
Yeah.
No. Can't have you show up, Kenny Lawler. Enough with you.
The Argo spies.
Argos spies. Maybe you're right.
So
Yes.
there wasn't a lot of names that I was surprised. Actually, there was a fair amount. As I had suggested, there was going to be guys that were, pretty big names that get cut, and there always are. I mean, I think Dylan Wynn's MJ is probably your biggest, but again, he's 32 going on 33 years old. As a defensive lineman, that is sort of the end of your shelf line. He's gone through, 3 teams in the last 3 years, I think. So that's also shows you something, and they just moved on. They just, I'm not that surprised by him. I was a little bit, will I think he get another job? Yeah, he might get another shot, especially as an injury guy. Midway through the season, you might see him get another job. A lot of these guys also get re-signed, as I think is also on the rundown, that they get signed immediately to other teams. Guys like Blackburn from Toronto got re-signed immediately into, I think he's gone to Edmonton. The one that surprised me out of the Argos the most was Casey. He really looked good last year when he was in, and I'm surprised that it's been 2 or 3 days and he's not re-signed somewhere else. So either he's taking his time, or he's just, to decide where he wants to play, or maybe if he wants to play. But that one was probably not the fact that he got cut. That surprised me, but the fact that he hasn't re-signed somewhere, that's also surprised me.
Breaking news. He's resigned. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it in a minute.
Okay. And the another one that was prior to the cuts that surprised me as much as anything was in Calgary, where they released just like literally minutes before the announcement of this starting lineup for last week's preseason game, they cut the defensive back that they've signed as a free agent out of Edmonton, and then he's already re-signed in Hamilton. So I was surprised at that because I was quite high on him coming in because he had such an outstanding rookie year. But then he was, had a bad injury and was injured all of last year. So maybe it came down to something like an injury, and the Stamps just didn't think he was going to be able to go. Or they said, we're not comfortable. Will you move to the practice roster? And he just said no. So they cut him early. So that one was to me was surprising. And there's a few other guys that I'm sure will show up on other teams' roster because there is always a bit of churn after training camp. And Deontay Ruffin was, I think, probably just an age thing again, getting to the end of his career.
No. Anything else from either of the MJs? Anybody surprised you?
Well, Mazzoli and McLeod Bethel Thompson remain free agents.
Shocking.
So shocking, just in case you were wondering.
Who do you think will sign first? We should have speaking of gambling, we should have
what's
who's
the
desperate?
over-under?
This over-under brought to you by...
What's the over-under? Or what are the odds that Thompson signs before Mazzoli? Yeah. Okay. Well, I got to tell you, but the one that surprised me based on previous stuff, so who knows where his level of play is at, but I was quite happy for Winnipeg when they picked up DeAndre Lamont out of Ottawa. I thought that 2 years back, him and Webb on the boundary side in Ottawa, I thought were the best combination in the league. And then Webb went off to Saskatchewan, and Lamont seemed to play okay, but what I saw him playing in the preseason, he seemed to be doing okay, but he's gone. So who knows? Now, like you said, GT, Devadrick Bynum signed signed again with Hamilton. So I had him Edmonton's Calgary, Hamilton as his trajectory. Kendall Randolph, who Winnipeg cut, is with Toronto, and Ottawa has signed 3 people. They signed Casey out of Toronto. They signed Benjamin Victor out of Edmonton, who I should have probably had on my list of notable cuts, but he only played 4 or 5 games at the end of last season. And they also signed a global defensive lineman, Kamari. This has got probably a French spelling on this or something. Anyway, Kamari Meunier Bailey, perhaps. Am I close on that? I don't know. He's didn't play much last year, but he was in the global draft last year, and they picked him up from Winnipeg. And that, otherwise, we're just looking to see where the dust settles. I'm going to jump this one ahead on the rundown so nobody get too confused. I imagine you heard even in Europe. I think I sent a text saying, are you even coming back if being in Europe gives the Stamps this kind of luck? Because they re-signed Hutchings and then announced this week that him and Rimolade are both cleared to play.
And Reggie Bagleton.
Which seemed early. Oh, did Reggie get cleared to play?
Yes,
I haven't
he
seen
got
that.
cleared to play today as well.
Okay, last I saw he did not participate, so
Yeah, they cleared him. He's on the active roster now.
Okay, because I did not see that either, because the last interview I saw was after, I think, Monday's practices, and Dickinson said Reggie wasn't quite ready yet. So that's good news as well. They'll probably ease him in a little bit more, but I imagine Hutchings and Flor-Molade are going to be ready to go. I'm not surprised by Flor-Molade because the interview was a couple months ago with their own in-house guys. And they interviewed him, and he said he would probably be ready for the start of the season. So that's great news, obviously. And then Hutchings coming back. Disappointed for him on one hand, but happy to have him back again, and super happy that he signed a 3-year deal as well when he did manage to come back. So that's terrific. And I think, that line now looks like the line that they had in the first half of last year rather than the second half of last year when that defense was pretty darn awesome. So they've got almost all of the pieces back. I think the Stamps are looking pretty good at this stage of the game. They're looking almost like not a lot of turnover, a couple small pieces, unlike they needed last year. And I think, it's going to be a good start for them. So that's great news.
Cup year, like you're building to win at home, right? And I think that's exciting to come back and sign, because especially when you already know, like Hutchings coming back, he knows that system, he knows that team. And especially like, yeah, cup run year, like that's an exciting time to get into, like back at the team. I've been noticing, like I'm at the McMahon Stadium for some of the Calgary Wild games, and they've been sprucing things up for the start of the season. So starting to get exciting for Calgary. Like that's excellent news for them.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said that about Bagleton, because I did look at today's injury reports. He was still listed as did not participate with a knee. They list Hutchings on there with his hamstring as limited, and
I'm just looking
Arimlade
at
was
the
full.
roster, and
Yeah.
he is active and not on the injured list.
That's good news to see. Yeah. So, but whether he's ready to play this week may or may not, I don't know. Because, like I said, I'm just going by what they said there. So
Yeah, he's on the active roster. He's not injured. Whether they play him or not.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
He'll be there or not.
That's what Dickinson said, is that he's not coming along as fast as they thought he might be, and and if he's able to play, he will, because Dickinson said, if anybody's able to play, I play them. But if he's not, he won't play. So I honestly don't expect him to be on the active roster this week. He's on the roster, but I don't think he'll be on the active roster this week. He'll be in one game or whatever.
I hope this doesn't turn into like an Adam Bighill kind of situation where you think you're back, but you're not back. And when you're back, you're not the same. Because how long was he out last season?
About half the season.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more. Yeah. Hopefully he'll be ready.
Yeah, I think it was the first or second game when he went down.
Yeah,
so.
he went down early.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
more than half the season. Okay.
I'm hopeful he's able to come back and perform as he wants to, but
because
he's
Reggie
getting up there.
is Stampeder football.
Yes. Well, Reggie will definitely, or has the potential to help, unless he's really lost a lot from the injury. I would not expect that. I think he'll do just fine. And regardless of that, I think you have to say that the Stamps prospects, especially for those first 2, 3, 4 games of the season, look a lot better now than they did a week ago, because we were
100%.
Yeah, we were expecting
100%.
no Hutchings
It's why
and
we picked
Arimlade
them.
back.
It's why we picked them to win Grey Cup. We knew.
Yeah, there we go. All righty, so that's the good news for the Calgary
I think
folks.
I got talked into it, actually, but nonetheless.
Hey, that's where we are.
We're fun. It's all because you guys made us.
Okay. I also wanted to mention CFL Expansion, because interestingly enough, it all became, could be something exciting when they came out that there was a group looking at building a whole entertainment district and stadium and everything in Halifax. And then the president of the Laval Rouge et Orange said that they would welcome CFL into Quebec City if there was a new stadium. And then about 3 days later, cold water got splashed on that when somebody came forward and said, this group that's building in Halifax, the fellow who owns the land has pulled out and is now saying he's using it for something different.
They didn't even have like a business plan or anything.
So I don't think that's going to happen quick. However, out of Quebec City today, reporting, and I don't know the Quebec City media landscape, so I'm not sure quite who this is. I think he's a radio personality there. Sylvain Bouchard did a feature, I think it was about a 15-minute feature on this, saying that there have been a group of businessmen in Quebec City that have been working for over a year on putting together a plan for a CFL team. They're extremely excited about it. They think they can get it done. They're looking at putting a 25,000-seat stadium in on the grounds of the Colisée. Now, that I think is probably a sporting venue in Montreal. Does anybody know? Am I pronouncing that wrong?
The Colisée, I believe, is the old hockey arena where the old Nordique used to play out of back in the day. Then they built that shiny new arena, which I don't know what it's called, that I think Carl Peridot, that owns the Alouettes now, I think he built hoping to get the Nordique back into the NHL. And I think maybe the Ramparts in the Q still play out of there. And so maybe they're using it, the land that was available for where the old Colisée used to be. Now that's just off the top of whatever little bit of head I have left. So
that makes sense to me. It's more than I know about it. The other thing is, despite what they said last week with the president of Laval, they'd need their own stadium, that the PEPS facility would not work for CFL football. What this fellow is saying now is that is definitely true. They're building a new stadium, but that Laval is open to them playing out of PEPS for a year or two as the stadium gets built to establish a franchise. So who knows? Maybe
show me the money, because it's 300 to 400 million minimum in a scale down stadium, 5 to 6 in today's world, as costs have gone up since any of the recent ones have been built. So to get something that's reasonable, you're looking at $500 million to more, and who's going to pay for it? That's what it comes down to for expansion of this league in every city they want to go down. Without a stadium, there's no expansion. And without money, there's no stadium. And without a reason for government to spend money, there's nobody that's going to build a stadium, because in this country, no one will spend their own money to build a stadium for 10 and 8 a year. So unless you're going to bring in a bunch of other things and you're able to do that, and the city will relax your bylaws enough that you can have concerts, and et cetera, that you can use the stadium for more than 10 dates a year, it's not financially feasible to build it. Every time one of these stories come out, the first thing you need to ask is, who's paying for a stadium? And if there's no stadium, and if there's nobody paying for it, and these fly-by-night things in Halifax, like the one that was announced last week, is exactly the same proposal, just on a different piece of land than the last proposal in Halifax was. And they all want to say, oh, just like Ottawa. Well, Ottawa wanted desperately and was willing to do it. And the guys that got the Redblacks back in the league, they also threw a lot of their own money in. So if you don't have your own money, and if you're not willing to spend it, again, it's pie in the sky. And all these stories can jump out and everything else. But show me the real money, not the storied money, not some guy from Saskatoon that wants to build a stadium in Halifax like that last proposal was. No, let's get real investors with real dough, with real commitment, and continue on the progress that we've had in having new owners recently that are deep-pocketed and have the sense and the money to be able to back themselves up for the long term. Because otherwise, we're just back into the cycle of rinse, wash, and repeat of guys buying teams and then 3 years later bailing on them. And I don't want to see that in this league at all anymore. I'd rather stay at 9 teams than have that happen on a 10th or 11th or 12th team. And then you're just back into the same cycle of just running around trying to get somebody else to pick up the pieces. So yeah, that's my story on expansion.
What they need to do in Halifax is partner with the Halifax Wanderers, the soccer team.
Wanderers don't
And the
want them to.
Tides.
But yeah, they again, read what the Wanderers want. They want their own. They're soccer guys. Soccer never wants to partner with anyone. They're the best in the world. It's the grand old game. It's whatever they call it. They are the most insulated, insecure, and inward-looking people there are, because they just think they are the best game in the world, and that's all there is to it. And they want what they want, and they want nothing less and nothing to share. And the Wanderers do not want to share a stadium. They want their own private little pitch for their own little club that they can all go out and jump up and down for an hour and a half every week and make a lot of noise, and that's what they do. So, yeah, sorry, again, I'm off on a tangent, but it's just, when they hear these stories about sharing, no, they don't want to share.
No,
They
that's
do
not true,
want
because
to
there
share.
are teams that do. The Forge share with the Ticats.
Yeah, but
And
that's
that's a
because the
really
Ticats
great partnership.
That's because the Ticats were there first, and they had no choice for the Forge to get into the league. If they wanted to go into Hamilton, they had to share. If they can do a way where they don't have to share, that's what they want to do. If somebody in Hamilton,
To
if
share.
somebody in Hamilton, if
But they're
somebody
gonna
in
have
Hamilton,
to.
if somebody in Hamilton had said that they wanted to buy, or they were willing to build their own stadium, 10,000 or 15,000 or whatever they wanted for soccer alone, the Forge would have run to it with their arms up in the air, saying thank you very much. Soccer does not want to share. They just don't.
Jay, where are all the women's soccer teams playing?
Well, they renamed it McWomen's Stadium. So they play
Yeah,
out of McMahon.
because again, guys, you're arguing my point. They had no choice again in Calgary because there was
It's
no
not just
place else for
Calgary.
them
Where
to
do
stay.
the other teams play?
They play where they have to because they have to share the stadium. If they are allowed to build their own stadium, they won't share. And the Wanderers field, they own it. The Wanderers field, they're not giving up that. Go back to BMO. Why?
So
how,
what's going
and
on
how
with the
BMO happened.
CFL that because Laval won't share with them either? So maybe CFL are just a bad partner to partner business with. Maybe no one wants to do business with CFL football because Laval, the Rouge are like, no. And then I don't think you're going to get a Quebec City team in without support of the Rouge or fans. You're not.
The Dinos, like the Calgary Youth Sports, they're looking at building their own field. And that's a real problem for the Stamps as well, because if you don't have that university income, what does that do as well?
So the Stamps want to build their
at
field
the
at the chuck wagon races.
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to have chuck wagons like around them during the game? It'll be kind of fun.
It'll replace their horse who does whatever the stuff. Everybody, whether you're university, soccer, football, whatever, you want your own stadium, and usually it's a pie in the sky. But there's stuff to what GT says. I mean, look at the Whitecaps whining about they're going to leave if they don't get their own stadium out of
No, the
Vancouver.
MLS is making them.
No.
The Whitecaps don't care.
MLS is still soccer.
But that's not the Whitecaps. You can't blame the Whitecaps for that because
it's extortion. That's what it is. It's sports extortion, which is what sports has been living off of for thousands of years and will continue to live off of because fans like us all freak out that our team's about to leave, and then the city or the government or somebody hands up these sports teams that are owned by rich people already a whole whack of dough to build a stadium again. It's extortion based on the same principle that's been going on forever, and it will never change. The only people that have it right are the teams that are big enough, that make enough money, that can build their own stadium, and deep pocket owners that are willing to do it because they know it works. On these middling level sports leagues, they cannot. And in Canada, especially because of the psychology of this country, there's not a chance somebody's going to invest in their own building unless they're getting something back.
The only people who don't share their building are the Raptors and the Blue Jays. Everyone else is sharing stadiums and arenas with multiple.
Raptors share with the least.
Do they share? Okay, so the only people are the Blue Jays. That's it. Everyone else is piggybacking and sharing and divvying up. So that's just the way it's gonna go. It's just the way it's gonna have to be. Like when the Ticats, they were threatening to move the Ticats, we just started calling them the Quebec City Tigre Shots because we're like, fine. But then they ended up building where they were. But the government of Alberta just paid for the Flames' new hockey arena. I'm waiting for my season seats for that since I am a taxpayer.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, and that's what I say. It doesn't happen.
Maybe we could apply. Maybe Stuart Johns can apply to the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and the federal government can build them for us. Just create a public company and run the football through it.
Yeah, you can go in like Randy did. We don't really have a plan, but we'd like a few $1 million, please.
Just give us some money. It'll work out. Saskatoon is a great spot for a 30,000 stadium. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I'm calling time on this one before somebody starts swinging here. It is a passionate topic. Who knows where it'll go? I will say this: the article or what I saw out of Quebec City today was not pumping up and saying, "Oh, we're going to get a team right away." They were saying that there's a lot going on that people don't know about it. That it's been in the plans for about a year. That they have several local wealthy business people engaged and talking about it, that they have a spot for the stadium. They know they say the budget for the stadium is going to be $425 million, which is within the reasonable range of it there. 2 weeks ago, the president of the Laval University team changed from saying, we don't want CFL here to, we'd welcome them as long as they have a stadium. And this is saying apparently now Laval is open to talking about at least a short-term share. So I feel more positive about Quebec City than I have about Halifax in a long time. I'm not
And that
expecting
may
it.
and that may be why all of a sudden the shift went from about this time last year from Halifax to Quebec City publicly by the league and by a lot of other people. That maybe Quebec City's the better option, and there was and that might be why, because that was stuff going on there that we weren't aware of it.
Yes.
I'll believe
So-
it when there's a first someone throws a pass
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
new stadium with the new team, and then
Yeah.
I'll get excited about it.
Yes, exactly. With Jared Dagey as quarterback, because
No.
that's what three down built a team out of the cuts, and he was their
God.
quarterback. Anyway, going on again, I'm stuffing one more thing in here that I didn't necessarily have on what I sent out to you guys. I'm not sure if I mentioned this during the signings and that. News came out, Sidy, who was a Regina drafter, so I forget where they drafted him. Anyway, 2 years ago, has been down in the NFL ever since. The Houston waived him. Now, I'm pretty sure that given the state of how they're looking for linemen all over down there, and the fact that he did start for half the first year with New England, he'll probably get some other NFL shots. But I also saw that and I thought, oh yeah, there's a bunch of Rider fans whose eyes are lighting up because he's down there. Now they're saying, okay, send him back and just bring Kyle Hergel. We like the idea of Peyton Collins, Sidy Sow, Logan Furland, Kyle Hergel, and Jamarcus Hardrick. We'll take that as a line to start. Pipe dreams in the prairies. And from there, MJ, you had said you wanted to talk a little bit about the fact we're back to Pride Month.
Yeah, happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to 4 teams who stepped up and posted about Pride. So shout out the Redblacks, the Lions, the Ticats, and the Bombers. You guys are the best.
Good
Love it.
stuff.
Love it.
Let's get everybody else joining in. Okay. And then I'm throwing in another question that isn't on here for you guys, because I was thinking about this as I was going through the games. When they were doing the Ottawa-Montreal game, they kept saying, well, it's a surprise that Maris is the starter, but if you look at the two of them together, they probably have the best quarterback tandem, starter and backup, in the league right now. And I thought, no.
Not a chance.
No.
But
Who would say
Not a,
But
this
was,
was
in the
this was
Ottawa
during the-
area?
it was on it was
Ottawa
on
City proper?
TSN.
It was on TSN.
And it was on Friday night. And there
Which
was
one
a
of the
new
triplets-
broadcaster getting his first taste of it. Other than that, I'll let you try and figure out who that might be.
Oh, but
Someone
he thinks we're all
previewing
potatoes,
Friday nights on
so-
TSN. I don't want to say a name because we don't want him mad at us again.
The potato guy.
Yes, Mr. Wilson, Luke Wilson. Him and LaPolice were both on Doing Color, and they were both saying this a bit. But that raised the question, and it got me thinking about it a bit, and it's been a bit of a hard one for me to answer. So let's just go around. We'll start with you, MJ. Who do you figure what team is best set up with the combination of starter and backup?
Alouettes.
With Crum and with Alexander and Crum?
Yeah.
MJ2.
I really like Hamilton with Bo Levi and Trey Ford.
Cinema.
GT's just gonna laugh. But I don't know. I get so excited. I believe in the hope. I believe in the
Dazzling.
story. Yes. Because I feel
Okay,
like
GT.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, did
All
I
right,
cut you off,
reality
MJ?
check. Reality check. The best quarterback room in the league, whether you want to say it or not, is absolutely in Toronto. 100%. Nobody else comes even close. I'm sorry. You've got the last 2 MVPs of the Grey Cup. You've got a quarterback that could have been the MVP of the league last year, and it was in the running until he got injured late in the season. And he's the backup this year because you're bringing back a guy who set the league on fire the year before and went 16-2 and was an MVP in the Grey Cup. And when in the half game that he did get to play in the playoff before he went down, was on fire again. So I don't know. But everybody else is one injury away from going to a second team guy that may or may not be good. And nobody has the depth that Toronto. No one has the depth that Toronto has. So absolutely not a chance. Toronto's by far the best quarterback room
Okay.
in the league.
So we're going to end up picking 4 teams for the 4 of us. I like this because while I agree with part of what you say, GT, there's also the fact Kelly hasn't played for a year. He's coming off an injury. Will he be? I'm not ready to anoint him the best. And Arbuckle, I think, we'll see if we get the same Arbuckle under Coach Miller that we got under Dinwiddie, because Dinwiddie seemed to be the Arbuckle whisperer. So I was thinking about it, and I didn't like Toronto until this weekend. This weekend actually changed my mind a bit. I thought, as strange as it sounds to say, the best combination, I was leaning towards Cody Fajardo and Taylor Powell. But then Powell looked so bad on this weekend, and Chase Bryce has looked so good in the 2 preseason games that maybe that's it, because they've got the best quarterback in the league. So if Bryce has made the step, Nathan and him, they could be it. That's who I'd give my best shot to right now. Time will tell. Fortunately, we can always burn the tape if any of us embarrassed ourselves too much. No, we can't. It's on YouTube, and it'll be there forever.
Hopefully time won't tell, because that means one of the main quarterbacks is going down. The best situation is we never get to see backup quarterbacks, right?
Yes.
Unless we're into the games that don't matter late in the year. So in reality, hopefully this is all kind of redundant. So.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea. Yes. Moot point. Okay.
I was just watching TSN before I jumped on the podcast, and they had Milt Stiegel on talking about what does Winnipeg do to protect Collaros this year. Like, they were talking about his age, the number of concussions, and then they started talking about all the things they've done to try and support them. So they're probably gonna run more. Like, Oliveira's gonna ask for the ball. I'm like, yeah, but he did last year.
Yes.
They brought in some new old linemen. And so all I could think about was, when you asked that question, was, well, it's not Winnipeg.
Yeah. Oh, no. Elgersma could be great in the future. He needs a lot of seasoning. And yeah, despite what Mr. O'Shea says, what Coach O'Shea says, nobody else, I believe, thinks Zach Collaros is the best quarterback in the league. I mean, the best solution would be to wrap him up in bubble wrap like the Michelin Man, but it's hard to throw with that. So
I think he needs a harness, and then they can just lift him up, and then he just avoids all the tackles. I think that would be their best plan.
Maybe he'll get a special rule. Zach has flags now. You have to flag Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, they've had that rule for about 3 years now. Breathe on Zach and you get a flag. Okay.
Anyway.
Moving along, I'm going to throw another question at you folks, put you on the hot seat, because we are going into the regular season, and we did this as a group last 2 weeks ago, I think, looking at when we filled out our predictor. But from each of you now, I'm going to ask for who do you think comes out of each division in the Grey Cup? So who are the 2 Grey Cup teams and who wins it? And let's start with MJ2, because you're the semi-guest here.
Well, for me, it's really easy to pick from the West. I honestly think that Calgary is, I don't know, there's something about hosting the Grey Cup. There's something about, bringing back some of these key players, and hope that VA has a great year. So we all know when VA can play, they're unstoppable. I'm putting my money, I'm going to say Calgary for the West. And then when it comes to the East, I always want it to be the Ticats. But I don't know this year. I don't know. I'll just say the Ticats, because I don't want to say the Argos.
And who wins it?
Calgary. I honestly think that Calgary could win this year, and that'd be so fun to win it at home.
Okay, how about you, GT?
Well, like I said, I think I was kind of talked into taking Calgary when we were together last time, although I had originally picked BC. So I'm still going to go with BC, because I think BC, they win the West. They get home field advantage. And I think that's the big difference for them going into the West final. That game, it makes a big difference that they don't have to play on the road. So I'm going to take BC and then get them up against, I still going to take Montreal. I'm feeling less confident than I did earlier about Montreal, but I'm still going to take Montreal. And then I will take BC over Montreal.
Hey, and MJ.
I think it's going to be Calgary and Hamilton, and Calgary's going to win because Hamilton does not win at McMahon.
True.
Probably. Yeah, I I will appear to be a homer, of course, because I'm going to pick Saskatchewan out of the West. I know everybody's head over heels on top of BC, but I still see some flaws there. And the thing is, while Saskatchewan lost players, their system, their culture, I think, will carry them through. Could be wrong, so I'm picking them and Montreal. I think Montreal is same sort of thing. Is still just they're further ahead than Hamilton is at this point, and they've got the experience behind them. I think it'll be a great game, and I have no idea, but because I'm a homer, I'll say Saskatchewan to repeat. So there you go, folks. You can throw your bricks at us on that. Tell us where we're wrong. The other bits of news before we get to sort of the games and that, the CFL app and the brand new site. Big news. It's going to be here in September.
Well, I was just about to look it up. I'm like, oh, I didn't. No, never mind. Put the phone down. No.
Yes.
False alarm.
They announced today. They said it would be ready before the start of the season. They didn't say which season.
Season doesn't start till Labor Day.
Yeah.
So really?
I love it. Thank you, MJ. Okay, sorry, I'm under control. Go ahead.
And the CFL Fantasy had a complete meltdown on Sunday night, and I'd say 80% of people weren't able to do their CFL drafts because it just completely crashed. So good job, CFL.
Yep. The new fantasy game is here, but as you said, apparently it just did not, far too much traffic and they weren't ready for it.
I'm sorry, they built it because they thought that they wouldn't have as many fans?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, on our weekly pick'em, it works on my laptop, but not on my phone.
Who's using a laptop?
Log onto a laptop? I was so mad.
Now, that'll take 90% out of the people playing pick'em.
Seriously, I was very frustrated. I had to wait all day to join that fantasy league. It was
Yeah. So, yes. Hey, and that's the other thing. The other big news is we are back with the CFL Podcast Network Fantasy League, and it's not just me representing this year. MJ is as well. Yay! You want to tell the folks how you explained to me you're going to do your picking?
It's going to be based on vibes, tarot, and my kids' Montreal Alouette picks. Ready to run the table.
So I expect you to clean up the league. You should do well. Anyway, yeah, so we'll be reporting on that. I'll start dropping on Thursdays again. Old Man Plays CFL Fantasy. We're not doing the new fancy one where you have the waiver wire and all the rest of that because you can only have 6 people in a team and the league's too big for that. So we're back to the weekly fantasy league. Each week, 2 people will go head to head. You win, it helps you. Your total points helps you, all that. So Thursday, probably only an hour or 2 before game time because I'm looking for as many of the depth charts as I can. I'll put out what I'm doing this week and why. And if you want to listen and do the opposite, go ahead. Yeah, anything else anybody has to say about fantasy before we jump on? No? Okay, here we go. Again, I'm all over the place. I don't know why I bother sending you guys a rundown because I'm changing it all over the place. I had the injury reports next, but I thought let's talk about them before we do our game predictions so they're fresh in our head, if that changes anything. So let's just jump ahead to the covering of what happened with the games on this week. And there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. I think probably I'm the only one that saw them all. Is that true for everybody? It was bits and pieces where you could. I don't blame you.
They
Preseason.
were all on at the same time.
Yes. But because you can on the app, you can, or on the CFL Plus.
I was at flag football.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I started at 4 o'clock when the game started, and I intended to go till 4 in the morning and just watch them all. But by about 1, I was dead tired, so I left the last one, Calgary and Edmonton, for Saturday morning. Not a lot to see there. 2 started at 4 in the East. One Hamilton 20 over Toronto 14. Anybody see any of that? Anything?
Cinema! Trey Ford cinema!
Yeah.
It's like every Instagram post from the CFL. Trey Ford dazzles.
Oh, yes. He
That's all I heard about
better.
from that game.
Yeah, he looked better, and including there was a vintage Trey Ford moment where he got flushed out of the pocket, scrambled right to the sidelines, somehow put on the brakes short of the sidelines, looped back around the other side, and threw a touchdown pass into the end zone. So
it was like my greatest joy was that play against the Argos with him in a Tie-Cat uniform. It was just, could anything better have happened on Friday night for me personally? No. That was amazing.
Thank you. That's all I needed today. Yes. And
Argos
the thing
suck.
is that big
Argos
scramble was great, but that was Ford magic that we've seen forever. He also looked good through the rest of the time he was in there. It was a heavy wind. He was throwing passes accurately into the wind. He was making the right reads. He wasn't scrambling too early from what I saw. So all in all, an encouraging performance from him.
I also enjoyed the announcers talking about the wind and the trying to call the punts and the kick.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yes. Yes.
Love the radio guys.
Yes. The radio guys there was at least 3 or 4 times out of the 8 games where the radio guys spent a lot of their time freaking out about the weather and the fact they were in temporary facilities and that they thought were going to blow over, floods, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like they were working in some rough conditions. But the only other thing that I had to note from this game, that they did announce that the Argos' first home game of the season is August 20th, which is, ouch, awfully hard for Argo fans. But on the upside, apparently they've got a deal where your $40 gets you a ticket and all you can eat selective snacks. So that sounds like a good deal.
Good deal.
Anybody else, anything?
Just that the Argos made a big video today about moving their head office stuff to Guelph. And they made a big thing with that box that said Tie-Cat Tears and all. Got all the players up home. I'm like, if you were going to make a video like this, a very high production video, just why didn't you play your games in Guelph? But anyway.
But on the other hand, at least they're putting out videos trolling their rivals.
At least
and I
they're
like
trying.
That.
At least they're trying.
Yeah, because again, I said I wouldn't bitch about the CFL Plus stuff this preseason, but one thing that became obvious was how good the standard of the game, what kind of cameras they were using was, but also the commercials, the halftime, how much that was worth sitting through, had everything to do with the team hosting the game. It was obvious because there were some, like BC, Saskatchewan, Edmonton, did really good job mixing stuff up, a lot of promoting their team and that. When it was time for the Argos to have their game on it, it was the no talking, the pictures of the guys in the little square dancing around or flipping the football and the loud music every break, every time. So it doesn't seem like the Argos put a lot of stuff into that. So that's why I'm glad to hear they're at least doing some videos.
Yes, they
like
made
that.
one video.
Yeah. Okay. Montreal 3 at Ottawa 27. And this was, again, it was all Montreal backup, so the score didn't mean much. I mentioned...
This is the one where they had the 3... I tried to watch this game.
Yeah.
I did try, because I was with my kid, I was like, yes, let's watch the Ottawa game. And I was like, is that Luke Wilson? I was like, right. And then I'm listening, and I'm like, that sounds like Rod. And I'm listening, and I'm like, that sounds like Lapo. And there's 3 of them chitter-chattering, and I was like, this is, I can't. It was unwatchable for me because of the 3 of them, I couldn't do it. I was like, you know what, I'll watch the shaky camera on the Guelph game.
Yeah.
That's moving. I'm like, I'll deal with that over this.
Yeah. Well, you get closer to the real season and you expand the team. Like TSN expands their panel. We've expanded our panel tonight. We're...
Is what are we saying about MJ2, though?
Would Luke Wilson and more of a Lapo. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, good. Well, I think that you're good on that. They obviously brought Luke in to put the training wheels on before he went live on his own next Friday night. If he just sticks to talking football, he's not bad. That's the best I can say. I'll wait until he's the only one there without having Lapo to nudge him in the ribs when it's time to shut up.
Should have the broadcast a live game on the side just to practice, but we didn't actually have to hear it. But oh well. Hopefully it gets improved. They don't need 3 guys in the booth. That's what I know.
You definitely do not, and I would not expect that back. I think, like I said, that was just the training wheels. The next game, BC 30 at Winnipeg 19. Anybody see it? Any thoughts on it? Because I don't have much at all again.
My husband would like to point out that the Winnipeg radio guys were his favorite of the preseason. He enjoyed them a lot.
Doug Brown's an interesting guy.
Yeah, he was like, this is kind of fun. I'm like,
yes. Yeah.
I'm just looking. When did Tim White sign?
You
Was he playing?
That.
Yes,
He's not going
he
to be
didn't play
playing in
this week.
preseason.
He played in the first preseason game, got 3 catches for 57 yards, if I remember right, and they're building their whole offense around him, we're told.
This is what I was texting MJ about today and trying really hard not to I don't know. How do you not laugh? Like I was struggling to type it out. Anyway, so I was just trying to look.
Braylon Addison back to coach with him. He's
Yes.
been with him for 5 seasons. I was like, let's check in with Red, Black, and Ticats fans to see how the last 5 seasons have gone.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
was trying to look at his stats to be like, maybe,
Maybe we're being harsh.
maybe the air is better in Winnipeg for catching balls. I don't know.
I said it's because it wasn't important.
Yeah, the game didn't rest on him catching this ball, so
I mean, to be honest, the 3 catches he made were nice catches. He ran good routes. They were right there, and he didn't drop them, which is,
good for
you know,
him.
for Tim,
Good.
that's because he does drop some that are right there. But
Yeah.
no, he looked okay. I did see someone on the CFL Reddit today when they saw my post about Addison being added to the coaching staff, a Bomber fan saying, "Can he still play?" So I'm not sure they're convinced of their receiving crew there. But no, I didn't have much on this. I said last week in Saskatoon about the 19-year-old, very skinny, pale prairie boys stripping their shirts off to show off. Apparently, they start them young in the prairies because in Winnipeg, they had a bunch of 10-year-olds there doing the same thing.
Tarps off is a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. And the only other thing that I had said was their third string guy that they have, Perkins. He was in there, looked good running, but not necessarily didn't look fantastic as a passer to me. So, mind you, he'll get the game by default because he's stuck around. So, or he'll get the position by default. Anything else? No? Okay. So, Calgary 21, Edmonton 18. And again, like I said, the last game that I saw out of all this, and that's about the only comment I have. It was just, please, let's get on to the preseason.
My favorite part of this game was that the radio announcers just talked over the CFL fantasy ads.
Good.
They were just like, no, we're just going to keep talking. So they just kept their show going over top of all the ads. It was so great. I was like, haha, take that. They're just like, And then I felt bad for them because they were doing that whole night at the knothole thing. And we had lightning, like a huge storm blew in and the weather was just awful. It's been pouring rain for 4 days. So I felt bad for them. During a lightning delay at Clark Stadium, there's like no cover for you. There's really no concourse for you to be in. So I'm not quite sure where they put everyone. Anyway, it's just unfortunate. I think they probably would have had a lot more people there if it hadn't been the weather. So.
Yes, it could be. It was the hour delay at the start, and that pushed the game into the evening, and the lighting looked worse than at a lot of the high schools I've seen football games played.
Well, they haven't had a professional game there since the
70-something.
And then the Edmonton FC used to play there, but that was like 6 years ago.
We were talking local broadcasters. Apparently, there's a standard joke if you're a local broadcaster and somebody's helmet came off. You have to say, I hope his head's not still in there, because I heard that on 3 different games this weekend.
It's so fun.
Rankin again looked good and bad. He looked like he got zero or less yards or big runs. Cody did
but
look
he's
like
gonna rush, and he's gonna have 2,000 yards this year, old man. He told us.
1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving. Yeah.
Yeah, he told us all that's what's happening.
If they don't take away the negative yards, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, that was mean.
will...
That was mean, Justin. No, yeah, like I said, it's just, it seems to be the style. Anyway, what else did I see? Cody. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the Elks were busy because this is after the game, but they went down to where we've got a lot of family that lives in Wainwright, and the whole crew of the Elks showed up in Wainwright to help with one of their spring camp nights with the Wainwright Commandos. So my cousin has all these photos of her kids with the Elks, and I thought that's so cool. Like, what a garbage weekend to be traveling. And I guess she said Noah Curtis, who comes from Florida, commented that the Ducks on the field, for the reason that they were playing inside in the arena, is the most Canadian thing he's ever experienced.
I'll give them that.
No one wants to play in the rain.
Yes. Well, it's great to see teams getting out and, like you said, involved in community like that. But and I did think Cody was making decisions fast, which is good to see. Other than that, I don't know. You could see that Mark Killam is from the Dickinson coaching tree because they both made challenges that had absolutely no hope of winning with under 3 minutes left in the game.
And then got really mad about it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. And officially the first time I have seen the new kneel down rule in effect. The game was, the flag was whirled at 13 seconds to go after one kneel down. So,
yeah, that looked weird.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
fine
going to
with
take some
this.
getting used to.
The only thing that I thought interesting in the game was that, well, a couple of things. First of all, I thought Edmonton's number ones looked really good. I don't know if they were playing against Calgary's number ones on defense, but their number ones on offense looked very good. But beyond that, the only other thing from the Stampeder point of view was that I thought Jacoby Griswold looked pretty good going in late in the fourth quarter. Or midway through the fourth quarter, I thought, and he had that one run where he was moving really fast for a big man. He's 260, they said, and he was going really fast and made a couple of nice open field moves as well. So I was very surprised in the cuts that he didn't make the team even as on the of reserves or whatever, because they cut him outright and they added Woolridge to the practice roster, which means that Calgary only has 2 active quarterbacks, which is unusual. And they haven't done that for, I don't know since when. They always had 3 quarterbacks on the bench. And so this year, going into the season, they'll only have VA and Josh Love out, and technically Quincy Vaughn as a quarterback as well. But really, he's a tight end. So that's, I was pretty surprised at that they didn't keep Woolridge on the regular roster and Griswold on the practice roster, because I thought they both looked like they deserved spots. That was the only thing that I saw out of the game.
Yeah, I would agree maybe with Woolridge. Like you say, maybe don't make Vaughn a quarterback. List him as a tight end. He can still do your short yardage. But really, I would say no insult to Tommy Stevens. He's a fantastic third down quarterback, short yardage quarterback, the best that we've seen in a long time, but I don't see him as a viable passer, and he was their third guy for 2 or 3 years. So I don't see this as all that much different for Dickinson's strategy.
Yeah, no, you're right in that, but because Vaughn is really a tight end, he's not a quarterback. He's their tight end short yardage guy. He's not their quarterback short yardage guy. So I thought they could have carried really a third quarterback on the active roster, especially a young one like Woolridge, and that would have given him, sideline views of the game and got him a bit more rather than just being on a practice roster and watching film all the time. So I thought that they could have done something like that. That's all.
Well, it's interesting that Calgary didn't even have to attempt a field goal. I didn't watch the game, but I'm looking at the stats and they didn't have any field goal attempts. Interesting.
And I can't remember. I don't think they attempted and missed any, but then it wasn't Paradise that was in there.
No.
So
that's who I was just looking. So yeah.
Okay. Getting down towards the end, as we've covered a lot here. Even though he's off in Europe, GT's going to do an impromptu power rankings, and then he's going to put out a power ranking for you folks every week, so you can direct your negative comments to him. So GT, what have we got this week?
The same as last week. Nothing's changed. There's no games. There's no point in changing anything because nothing's changed. So so whatever I said last week, I will repeat again this week. How's that?
Okay.
I don't know what they will. I honestly don't remember, but nothing's changed. So there's after this week, I may make some changes, but I remember it being Saskatchewan number 1, and then Montreal, and then I think it was Hamilton, BC, Calgary, that kind of. So something like that.
Yeah.
And then going into it, once the real games begin, then we can really talk.
Yes. Okay, I like that, and it gives people an incentive that didn't watch last week to go back and watch it. Now,
or was that 2 weeks ago? I don't know. Maybe whatever.
2 weeks. Yeah, it probably was 2 weeks ago.
You can go back You can go back and watch every episode we've ever done to try to find it. How's that?
Yeah, exactly. There's 2 full seasons on there. The first one with just my dull monotone going on, ma 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 ma. Anyway, so full disclosure, letting you behind the curtain here, because GT's in Europe, we haven't been communicating as much, and I wasn't certain he'd get the power rankings together. Plus, when we talked about the power rankings, I put some out there and you kind of corrected me and made a good point that power rankings aren't necessarily about who's going to win the end of the season. It's a snapshot in time right now, who's where. And I thought, okay, well, one way to judge that then is to say who's going to win the games this weekend. And those three the 3 winners will obviously be towards the top, and the 3 losers will get arranged towards the bottom. And then the other 3 teams not playing, I'll just scatter in where they fit. So this is my one and only, just in case GD hadn't been available, my one and only power rankings. And then it'll all be on him from the here out. With great power comes great responsibility. Remember that, GT.
Oh, I take no responsibility. I take no responsibility at all.
Okay. My power rankings based on that criteria was, again, I put Sask at the top because they're the champs and they're not playing and all that. Number 2 was Montreal. And if you follow through these, you'll be able to figure out what my game picks are too by doing it. But anyway, so number 2, I had Montreal. Number 3, I had BC. At number 4, I had Calgary. Number 5, I had Edmonton. Number 6, I had Hamilton. 7, Winnipeg. 8, Ottawa, and 9, Toronto. So that's it. You can throw bricks at me this week or comments or whatever you want. But
Why is our podcast team at the bottom?
well, because they're not playing, and that's where they ended last. Same as the Grey Cup team automatically gets to go the top one until they play. The last team gets to go last until they play. All righty. So now we got to start talking about the games this weekend. I'll run through because there are some notables on the injury reports. I won't give you everyone. In fact, some of them look like they're mid-season. They're pages of injury reports out there. But I'll tell you, for the Montreal game, we already know these people. Montreal at Hamilton, we already know these people are already out for the week they've been announced at. So Dedman and running back Stevie Scott III are both out with hamstrings for Montreal. Hamilton, Bridges is out with a groin, and McManus, their new linebacker, is out with a knee injury.
No.
And Braxton Hill, the other linebacker, was listed as questionable with a calf. So we'll have to see what happens there.
What's going on in the water in Montreal that everyone has hamstring injuries over there?
I don't know.
What was it last year that everyone got injured?
Everyone had hamstring injuries.
Yeah.
And it's happening again this year.
There's been a spate of them. There was a spate of Achilles as well, and some people just coming back from them that we'll see here. But
Need to do yoga, I guess. I don't know.
It was Davis with Alexander with his hamstring was the news last year, but it looks like others, yeah. So anyway, moving on to the Winnipeg game, they haven't said who's in or out, so I can just tell you if they were on the list, a significant person, and whether they did not participate or limited. So did not participate was Kevin Clausius with the receiver with a knee, Santos Knox linebacker with an ankle, and Cam Allen, who I believe they've been playing at safety with a knee. And limited was Major Williams, who is a name that most of us probably won't know, but it looks like he's slotted in as one of the starting corners this year, I'm told. So see how that goes. On the Calgary side, they still had Bagleton did not participate with a knee. Sheldon Arnold and DB did not participate, ankle, and another DB, Ben LeBras, with an illness. And then as far as the limited ones goes, there was Barnes with a hamstring, Hutchings with a hamstring. You may probably have to help me with the name of the lineman here. GT, I always get it wrong. Jack Kurgula? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, no, give it up. Yeah.
Knee. And Paradise is limited with a groin injury. Then the last game of the week, Edmonton at Ottawa. Edmonton has a couple of defensive linemen. Barrows, who's the veteran, is out with an Achilles, and I'm assuming will probably be gone for the year. And then Darian Newell, who, again, unless you're a real fan, you probably won't recognize him. He was drafted in 25, but then could not sign because of performance-enhancing drugs in his testing. So he sat for a year. He came in. He's out with an Achilles. And again, I'm thinking that's probably the season. And then also did not participate were Boyko from the O-line with a hand injury, and Joe Robustelli, who they brought over from Saskatchewan as a receiver, was out with a hamstring. On the limited was a very good DB, Cordell Jackson, with a head injury, and Noah Taylor from the D-line with a hamstring. And then for the Ottawa side, Nick Mardner, receiver, was out with Achilles. I think he missed all last year, if I remember right. So that's probably just him slow coming back. And then D lineman Daniel Opogo, I believe is pronounced, he's out with a foot, did not participate. And limited were Alonso Adai with a hamstring and Amari Henderson with a knee. So some injuries in the backfield there. We'll see where they get to. That's just as you're going through fantasy, and if you're making your pick'em predictions, you might want to know that. And this brings us to our pick'em predictions, the first ones of the year. And don't forget, these go up on Instagram too and whatnot. So let's start with, since we've got two Hamilton fans here, we'll start with the MJ. MJ, 1 or 2 can pick who wants to go first and tell me who's going to win Montreal or at Hamilton.
3, 2, 1.
Hamilton.
Ticats.
Okay. You do the stereo very well. It's an out of sync stereo, but it's there. Okay. GT.
That's a tough one. I'm going to take Hamilton.
Okay. I'll be the lone man out. I'm going with Montreal. I think they're further ahead at this point than Hamilton is. But again, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Mr. Alexander really is as healthy as they say. Okay, so GT, you get to go first on this one because it's Winnipeg at Calgary.
Calgary's, as you just said, way further ahead, cohesiveness-wise, coaching staff-wise, everything-wise. They're just, that Calgary.
Okay, MJ2?
If it's not Calgary, we have some problems. I am picking Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary.
I guess
My
we
husband
gotta-
also picks Calgary.
There's that.
Yeah, was that like a Jeff Garcia jersey he's got there?
It sure is. Yeah.
Just I was going to say, I didn't realize you were married to Jeff.
I'd be having a lot more money and I wouldn't be in the rain. But,
You'd have a much more professional setup for your podcasting.
I would.
Anyway, it's a sweep. I'm with Calgary as well, so we're good there. Closing. Sorry, and then to close out the weekend. So those are, of course, Thursday, Friday games. Saturday we're closing out with Edmonton at Ottawa. I haven't gone first yet. I thought I would be going with Ottawa at this until they put Merritt first. I can't. I can't. So Edmonton. Jump in, someone. Edmonton. Okay.
Edmonton.
I also have Edmonton.
I really want to pick the Redblacks, but I think it's going to be the Elks. The only road team that's going to win this weekend.
No.
What?
Montreal's going to win.
No, they're not. The podcast picked the Ticats.
Yes, they did. But you didn't say the only road team the podcast picked. You said the only road team to win. And you know me, I'm really good at predicting things unless they're in the future. I think that's it. MJ, when you get your graphic that you do up on Instagram, can you pop it up on the drive for me and I'll put it up some other places too?
For sure. Yeah.
Cool. All righty. But other than that, I think we're, have we missed anything? Anything else? Anybody really got it to get off their chest?
So ready for real, week 1 football.
Yes.
Who's going to commentate game 1?
Thursday night. Yeah.
I know, but
over under. Over under
they've
who's
got?
commentating? Lapo? No. Marshall? Al's Ticats. It's gonna be Marshall, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Marshall will do the game. The color will be Ford. Dwayne Ford. I think he's back.
But I mean,
that's my guess.
Yeah, but I think you're right.
I think I heard Rod and Lapo saying they're doing the Edmonton game.
Okay.
I think
Bombers,
I
Calgary
could be wrong.
would be Dusty.
And Glenn Suter.
Yeah.
We'll see. Suter can be very good when he's on. If he's off, then we'll hear 3 hours of football cliches.
I am excited for Dusty's commentary about VA.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I had to pick one to call my real life, it would be him.
Yes.
I was just going to laugh about the injury reports. I just started my soccer season and already the list of women that are out, it's kind of hilarious. I'm like, this is starting to sound like a football team, but really there's only 10 of us.
It can happen. Like I said, I read off the relevant players that were there, people that we would recognize, but there were at least a couple of the teams that had 12, 14 people on their injury lists already. All righty. So I guess that just brings us down to closing thoughts. If you want to give any social media where you're available, you can. And why don't we, again, we'll start with GT.
You can find me on Blue Sky, as always, GT Barnum at bluesky.social.net, whatever it is. And that's it for me. I'm
Go get some
going to
sleep.
pack and get ready for the next stage.
Right. You
And
got
figure out where
this
that's
is morning, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The sun's up now, at least. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you catch your train, plane, or automobile or whatever it is and move on. And we'll talk to you whenever we talk to you again. Or
absolutely.
carry on, my wayward son. MJ2.
I don't have a personal social media, so if you want to get in touch with me, you can message MJ and she will text me. And that is how you can get in touch with me. But I'm so happy CFL is back. I've been looking forward to this. I gave MJ the Cat jersey that we bought off of GT last year so that she would have it for opening game. Yes. So you better see that.
We better
I
see.
will wear it next podcast.
Yes, and we'd better see that on. Well, I won't see it because I'm not on Instagram, but the folks better see a picture of you in it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
there's your
it's
assignment.
Like my Cat dress.
Yes,
great.
Cover reporter MJ's assignment for.
Yeah.
Okay, and your turn. Any other thoughts? And
Yeah, you can just we're on Instagram. You can find our pics there. But eventually, GT's power rankings will be there in a nice, fun format. Clips from the show, news, commentary, all the things. You can find me personally on Blue Sky at Sports of Plants, and I will be talking some CB basketball. I'm getting better about it. I'm starting to learn things. Always despairing about Blue Jay baseball, and I will be, as we all know, I like to live post CFL games when I watch them, so follow along.
sounds great. And as always, you can get me on Blue Sky. I'm oldman-sac at .bluesky.social, whatever. I did mention I've set up again a proper email address for us, the CFL Outsiders, all one word, at gmail.com. We're, as far as the CFL Outsiders goes, we're on, I think, all the Canadian social media now. We're on Gander, we're on we're on North Social. We're on just about every other one of the major ones except Facebook, which we just refuse to. We've been trying to do Moob, or I have, but it allows me to do one post a day, so I don't know what's going on there. And other than that, I am tickled pink to have real football going. I wish it was 4 games. I wish the Riders were playing, but that's beside the point. These 3 games that we've got this weekend, early season games are always hit and miss, but I'm excited. These all have the potential to be some very good games. So hopefully we'll be reconvening with a lot of energy and a lot to talk about next week. But until next week, for GT, for MJ, for MJ2, this is Old Man saying, get the hell off my lawn.